we'll get into some rapid fire questions. Okay. So, and we're supposed to answer these fast, but I don't always do that. So I may ask follow-up questions, but what do you consider your most valuable failure?
So let's say when I was playing minor league baseball, I was released and then picked up, multiple times. So I think, I guess if you consider that a failure, it was one of my most valuable things, because when you get that call or, your coach pulls you in the office that day and lets you know that, they're going to go in a different direction. And so you got to clean out your locker and stuff. And so that's the toughest day when you get that message, but also builds me for, going back to the table and working harder for what I need to do to get signed again. And I did it multiple times. So I think that was definitely, my most valuable, I guess, if you call it a failure, is, the opportunity to play minor league baseball, to sometimes get released and pick myself up and basically, go back at it again. And now applying that into, my career, and just, in general, you're going to have failures in life, and, making sure you're improving on those failures and making sure that you're basically, seeing how you can grow in some of that. There's always time to be sad, and, sometimes it's tough to hear, some of those things, but, your growth after those periods are really what shape you as a person, and, kind of how you interact with others as well.
Absolutely. Have you seen the football show on HBO that they do? They follow a team.
Oh, that's the Hard Knocks?
Yeah, Hard Knocks. Thank you. I was like, what is the name of that show? We watch that every year. And it is excruciatingly painful to watch those guys get released. It's...
it's sometimes when it's coming, and sometimes you don't know when it's coming. And again, that's I think when I played, I tried to live as this could be your last at bat, your last game. You never know. My first year playing in South Dakota, I was a rookie, so I played a little bit and came off from the bench. And I remember in the second half of the season, I played a couple of games and did okay, and I was starting. We're taking batting practice that day, and there was another guy out there, with us that day, and he was taking BP and taking ground balls at shortstop and third with me. And so me and my other friend, who were a rookie, had no idea who this guy was. And so that night I played that night, and I did really well. I had a couple of hits and did really well that game. And so, I remember my coach, who I was close with, let me know. He's like, that guy was there to take your spot that day. So, it just so happened that,
you had a good day.
I played really well that day. It didn't happen. So, but that's how it goes, and sometimes you see that as a young person, looking at all those guys who are doing in professional sports, and you don't see some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. So
did you love it? Like, did you play for the love of the game?
Oh yeah. I loved baseball. I would honestly play baseball for free forever if I could. So it was just, I really love the game, the, strategy that goes in the game. There's so many things that go on besides just the pitch and the at bat, and, some of the other things that are going on, that sometimes you can't see as a spectator, and sometimes you wouldn't know unless you play the game. So, I know baseball is not for everybody, but
I love it.
It's, it's definitely a game that I love. And so, I've had the opportunity to coach and, basically have some students. Even here in College Station, I had one of my professor's sons who I coached while I was here. And he basically, when I first met my professor, he had never played baseball ever. He had swam, competitively here in town, and then he was doing Little League. So I was like, I've played baseball. I can give him some lessons if he wants. So I worked with him, his first couple of times, and he was really, really raw, just pretty athletic still, but, had, a little talent and stuff. And so, I basically just gave him, some of the things that I had learned. And so now we're, 3-4 years now, he's, playing travel ball, he's playing on a school ball team,
That's awesome.
And, the family they love baseball, to like having like no idea, like if they watch a baseball game, like no clue, like just clapping when everyone's clapping to like now like really know what's going on and like, you know, talking like the tech, you know, terminology and everything. Cool. And so it's cool to see, you know, his growth. And I've seen that with some other kids that I worked with, you know, along the way, and just, you know, their just love for the game, you know, and some of the, you know, things that you can get from baseball that you can apply in your life is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to a podcast with Dax Shepard. It is not a family-friendly podcast for those of you listening, but it's really good. And he talks about how, you know, in acting, you're always worried about not getting that next job. You know, just there's a possibility that you'll never work again. Yeah. I have that feeling all the time. And but he also talks about how if he were to talk to 12-year-old Dax and say, you know, and sometimes he goes, well, I don't have, you know, as good of jobs as Brad Pitt, right? You know, and it's easy to get in that, or like, I'm not playing major league, and it's easy to get in that mode. But if you were to talk to 12-year-old Alex and say, you're going to get to play minor league baseball, you would go, what? That's amazing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's you know, it's every kid's dream to get to that level. And so, I mean, again, I was blessed to do it for 5 years, and it was, you know, literally some of the best years of my life. You know, I miss it all the time, you know, but, you know, I still involved a little bit when I can. I try and do some coaching and things like that. And so, you know, my brother has a son now that, you know, whenever I go home, I'm always trying to get him baseball and, you know, swinging a bat and all that other stuff. So when he's not running around causing havoc, but so, but yeah, that's fun.
Awesome. I coached swim team for a long time, and it was, still I say, you know, my dream job is just going back and coaching swim team. I mean, I can't really make enough money doing it at the level that I would be able to do it to survive. But that's the job I love. And I try to think I am at my best with students when I think of myself as their coach. You know, when I think I'm here to encourage them, to inspire them, also to transform them. And that sometimes can be painful and frustrating for them, and but it's about making them constantly better.
Exactly.
It's so fun.
It's a journey.
So fun. So you're gonna quit consulting anytime soon?
I don't think.
Coach little league baseball?
I don't think so.
Man,
not anytime soon. I wish I could do both. I mean, I can. You can at times
to a degree. Yeah, it's tough though. Yeah. What do you think is people's biggest misconception of you?
I think sometimes, I guess I can be seen as a quiet, reserved person. And so I think, you know, people see me as like a little bit more timid person or things like that. And I think that's probably the biggest misconception is, you know, people who see me as someone who's just kind of a little bit more reserved, a little more quieter, you know, in certain scenarios, you know, where I need to do, especially in my career right now, consulting, that's literally on a daily basis. We need to be that leader in the room, you know, and that's, I think people sometimes think that's probably not your first perception of me, but I think, you know, from my sports background and the way I grew up and having two older siblings, you know, it kind of
you can assert yourself when needed.
Exactly.
But it's like you said, it doesn't always have to be the loudest, biggest person in the room that is able to, at the right moments, say the right thing, or, you know, be more selective about when they're leading in more traditional ways.
Right. And you can be an effective leader in the way that, you know, you work with others, the way you demonstrate, you know, the way you kind of interact with others. You know, people see that. I mean, even on my first project, and I was actually just talking to an MBA hire who started with EY this week and is going to join our project. And he said, what is your, you know, what's your most valuable experience? You know, what can you help me on our project that I'm joining? And I said, really just watching other people that are there on our project, because we have some really good senior managers, partners that interact with the client, that, you know, work well with the client, that get things done, you know, literally sometimes just watching people who do it well and observing that and being able to apply that and take that in for yourself and kind of make your own spin on it is something I think is really impactful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could have anyone as a mentor for one day, who would it be?
It probably would be Roberto Clemente, Puerto Rican baseball player, and just an amazing athlete and an amazing humanitarian. Being Puerto Rican myself, I grew up idolizing him, and just his impact in not only baseball and outside of baseball. I think one of the quotes that he has is, if you're not doing something, doing something to help others, while you're here on this earth, you're wasting your time, and so I think he was just a great person, who really was, a genuine human being, really loved playing the big baseball and giving back to community in Puerto Rico and giving back to community, wherever he was at. I'd love to one day to meet him in person and kind of pick his brain about, some of the things that he did, but he's definitely one of my biggest mentors.
That's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome to have mentors who, look like us or have like that same heritage of us. There's something so significant, I think, about that. Even in life, in business, in an MBA program, right? To just see people who have gone before us to say, I could do that. Yeah. That could be me.
Yep, exactly.
It's great. What is your fondest memory of Texas A&M?
I would say my first group that I had in the fall, we were just great. We loved each other. We had a really good group. We got along really well. I think that was probably my most fondest memory, is basically interacting with that group of just really great people from 4 different backgrounds, 4 different areas, 2 people from 2 different countries, and myself who played baseball, another guy who played sports and was a veteran, and we all just shaped and came together and are literally, first group that we were in the MBA program and got along really well and hung out with each other outside of school, and did really well in our projects. And so that definitely shaped my time here in the MBA program and was really some of the greatest memories that I have, and still keep in contact, with my team as well.
And then none of your other teams lived up. No, I'm just kidding.
My other teams were good. My other teams were good too, but Gamma 5, we were great.
So. All right, very good. Last thing, we end each of our episodes with Good Bull. So this is an opportunity just to recognize someone else for something great they've done.
So I would say Good Bull I would have as my boss who I worked with at the rec as a grad assistant, Kelly Vondrell. So she was literally instrumental in me coming here to Texas A&M. When I came and visited and met her, she was awesome of, me coming here and welcoming me into the family, welcoming me into the rec sports family. So just her and, basically, even when I transitioned from, the first program when I was into the MBA program, I knew that my workload was going to change and my hours were going to change. And she, when I asked her and brought it to her and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, what do you think? Is this okay? Am I still going to be able to be a grad assistant? She said, listen, we will figure this out. I'm 100% behind you. This will work out and this will be amazing. So I think, her impact of just my time here at Texas A&M and just being welcomed into the Aggie community and becoming an Aggie was definitely a Good Bull experience.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. You had such a neat community there at the rec center. I remember the day that you got your Aggie ring and they all were there to present it to you. And
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Then I really do feel my rec sports family was here, is just a great group of individuals, great group of people, good leadership there in the rec sports. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's been great.
We, by the way, do not recommend that students work during while they're going to school in the program. It is not an easy thing.
Yes.
But you definitely pulled it off well.
Yeah.
But it is tough to balance.
Yeah.
So
yep.
Good on you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the episode with us. Anything else you wanted to add? Or
no, I think that's it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Great.
Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to stay up to date on our latest videos, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. If you're in a rush or on the road, you can still join us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts. If you want to learn more about us or our guests, please visit our website at mays.tamu.edu/podcasts. Also, please check out Mays Business School's academic programs. They're the sponsors of our show, and you can find them in the description. Thanks, and gig 'em.